Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Eugen. In this video I have for you a preview of the 5th Gebirgsjager, a new division available in the upcoming Tribute to Italy DLC. As a disclaimer, Eugen has given me free access to the DLC, so a big thanks to them. Also, please remember that this is an early preview and what you see may be subject to change. If you'd like to read the description on the right hand side, feel free to pause the video and take a look, but we're of course going to be jumping straight on in. I'll be going through all the units and we'll put together a quick deck. But before I jump in and look at the first units in the Recon tab, I just wanted to point out the layout of this division. You can see it's quite dramatic in comparison to some of the other divisions that we've looked at so far in this DLC. There's a large emphasis on infantry, a large emphasis on support, artillery and aircraft, whereas in the tank, anti-tank and anti-air tab, you've only got 3 cards that you can use. Let's jump into the recon. So, the KFZ4 is the first one. It's going to be a little truck with a dual MG34. I always thought it would be fun if these could actually fire at aircraft, because they do have an anti-air sight. But either way, interesting little vehicle that you can use to hide in light cover. It does have very high optics, so we'll provide you with recon information, but generally not worth an activation point to bring in. Moving on, we have the Gebirgsaufkläder. These are your sniper squads. They come with a Beretta and the G43 with a scope. They've got that exceptional stealth with the very high optics. You can get 4, 8 and 12. The availability on these is pretty good actually. Transports are the motorcycle, the Kettengrad and the Kubel MG. Kubel MG would probably be your best bet because it does have very high optics as well. Doubles up on the amount of recon units you get from one card. Then there's the Gebirgsjager. These have 2 MP44s and 2 G43s. Does mean that they're not going to reveal themselves at range like normal Spähtraub do. Of course, you can put things onto return fire in order for them to not use their long-range weapons, but yeah, it's always nice not to have to necessarily micromanage that. They'll only engage at like the 500 meter range, by which point they're probably spotted anyway by enemy troops. But 3, 6 and 9 availability for those. Kettengrad and Kubel are their choices of transport. And then you have the Gebirgsfusilier. Now these remind me a lot of the Kalarache that the Romanians can get, because they are a 9-man squad with exceptional stealth, which also have a sniper. So they've got the 2 MP40s, they've got the 6 G43s, but then they've got the sniper on top of it, which makes this quite a nice sort of supplementing infantry squad to support when attacking. Basically, you move up your Fusilier squads here next to your standard squads, and you'll have that sniper support against support weapons and also for pinning down enemy infantry units quicker. And you get 3 cards of these as well, so yeah, might be worth bringing in some of these. There is the SBW AB41 available. The good old auto blinder does come in with the 20mm main gun. Good for ripping up infantry, good for taking out half tracks and stuff early on. Yeah, nice little support vehicle, and does have the very high optics. Let's move on to the infantry tab. We have the Gebirgs Pionierführer. It's going to be the first one here. It does have 3 submachine guns and 3 G43s, making it a 6-man squad with the HE grenade in there. So does give you radio because it's a leader as well, and it's a leader as well. And then it's got the raider trait, which gives it exceptional stealth. This is actually a really nice early game infantry leader for 20 points. So yeah, very nice. Gebirgsjager, let's look at the standard Gebirgsjager layout. So they've got 4 MP40s, 5 G43s, and an MG42. Now the MG42 is a big deal because MG42s are great at pinning down units at longer ranges, and then you got the G43s as well. When things get a bit closer, you can actually be able to do some decent damage, and then if they get even closer into the 100 meter range, then your MP40s are going to open up and you're going to hit them with that 1.6 damage. So I feel like For 20 points, these are exceptionally good infantry squads. 10 strength, they get the raider trait, which means they also have very good stealth. Very, very nice indeed. And they also get the Haftaladen, which is useful for taking out vehicles at close range. And the availability on these is crazy as well. 12, 24, and 32, which means upvetting these is not too bad. Like, you're going to be able to bring them in at decent veterancy very easily. For 20 points, absolute steal. Gebirgsjager, again, another really nice leader squad here. Comes with 3 Beretta submachine guns, the 2 G43s. It gets a sniper and a Panzerschreck, with the exceptional stealth due to the raider trait. Has a radio, 3, 6, and 9 available for only 25 points. This leader is really nice. Really, really nice. This is almost as good as it gets for like a leader in phase A, B, and C. Incredible. Alright, then we got the Gebirgs Pioneer. Well, these actually come with a new close range weapon. The jerry can bomb. I have yet to try this out, but it has 4 damage, which is more than a Molotov, but less than a like a standard HE grenade. Let me just show you here. So this has 10, this has 4 damage, but then it's technically a Molotov, which will leave an area of flames on the ground. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty scary squad to come up against, especially since it does have 6 submachine guns. In the MP40s, and then you got the G43 there. If they end up moving out of range of the MP40s, you're then going to get hit by the MG42 anyway. So these are pretty crazy, really. The you can only get 1 card of them, though. The availability is 5, 10, and 15, which is similar to other Pioneers. Then we have the Gebirgsstreif, or Streif, sorry. I'm not entirely sure which one it is. I always forget. They have 5 MP44s and the 2 MG42s. These are actually exceptional mid-range infantry squads, and also being able to pump out damage at range due to the MG42s. The main thing, of course, about the MG42 is it pins down enemy infantry squads very quickly. So that's primarily what these are going to be good for. 6 available in A, 12 in B. Have to bring them in at the 1-star vet, which means you can push them to 3 vet quite easily. And they have a Panzerfaust as well to help them out. Finally, the Gebirgs Sturmpioneer with the 2 MP40s, 3 Berettas, and the Flammenwerfer with the smoke grenades. Your standard sort of Sturmpioneer squad. 5 in A, 10 in B. Yeah, not too bad. The nice thing about the Beretta, of course, it does have the 150 meter range, so don't forget that. So these squads that do use Berettas as their SMGs are actually extra powerful because of that. Very nice infantry tab. So moving on to the tank tab. Stug M41, it's back again. I always find it amusing seeing this in the tank tab. Again, I'm pretty sure it's the only machine gun tank in the tank tab in the entire game. But hey, supplement leader with armor. So again, 42, 75, 34. This is actually pretty good because of the 12 round per minute rate of fire. As an assault gun, it's going to be useful for sure. And I think in this division where you're limited on armor, this is definitely something you're going to take. There is also the German assault gun, of course, the Stug 3G, the classic. You can get them in B and C, which is quite nice because it kind of makes up for the lack of availability of armor in the early game. So, yeah, you could probably up-vet these and make them 3 vet with leaders nearby, and they're going to absolutely chew through enemy units. Let's move on to the support tab. Kubel munition trucks are available, and as I've mentioned before, any time you can get Kubel trucks, like Kubel munition trucks, they're always worth taking over Opel Blitz munition trucks because they give the same supply but as 4 units as opposed to 2 units, which means you can spread out the supply easier and therefore you don't waste as much supply. If, say, the Opel Blitz munition truck got destroyed, you're going to lose like a ton more than if the Kubel munition got blown up. You're only losing 5,000 if you get stuck in an awkward situation, and by that point it's probably already used up most of its supply, so it's not a big deal, whereas an Opel Blitz might not have. So yeah, I think the Kubel munitions just give you a bit more sort of versatility as to where you're going to use them. They're also, I think, a little bit faster. No, they're actually the same speed, never mind. Stug M42, 75-18. That's another one of these great assault guns, the Semaventes with the 12 round per minute rate of fire, the HE shell having the 2.2 damage there. Have these come along with your infantry, you're going to get loads of work done. 3 available in A, 6 in B. Have to bring them in with the 1-star vet. Then we have the Gebirgs IG-18. Now this may look like an ugly gun, but it's basically just your standard IG-18 without the shield on it. So, yeah. It's got the 12 round per minute rate of fire at the 1,500 meter range with the 2.2 damage. Standard stuff. 4 available in A, 8 available in B. Moving on, we have the Gebirgsjager MG42. MG42 squads, always good. And in this case, you can actually get 5 cards of them if you wanted to, which is a lot. They are raiders, so they do get very good stealth as well, which is kind of disgusting for an MG42 squad. So yeah, very, very strong. Moving on, 2 cards of Opel Blitz munition trucks are available. A, B, and C is 2, 4, and 6 availability. LG42s are also available to this division. You can get 3 in A, 6 in B. These are really scary infantry guns because they have 4.1 damage at 2,000 meter range for 50 points. It's very good. They also can do a lot of damage to medium armor. You can see they got 100 mils of penetration on their heat round, which does 10 damage, which means if it penetrates a medium armor tank, it will destroy it in one shot. And like, yes, the accuracy is not that great, but ideally you want to be using that at close range. And then you're going to be almost guaranteed to penetrate anyway if your penetration here is higher than the enemy armor because you're using a heat round. Just a reminder that heat doesn't lose its penetration value at range. Whereas, but it also, at the same time, it doesn't benefit from being closer to a unit because like standard AP, it falls off at range in terms of penetration, but then it also gets higher the closer you are, whereas a heat round is always the same amount of penetration. But in this case you want to be close, and the closer is better because of accuracy, which does go up still. Alright, then we have our commanders. So the motorcycle here, you've also got the commander, and then you've got the links. Alright, and that's about it for the support tab. Let's move on to the anti-tank tab. Panzertrex. 3 cards of Panzertrex available. 4, 8, and 12 availability. Can come in the BMW and the Kettengrad. There is the Pupchen available. This has the Raider trait, which gives it the exceptional stealth. This thing has crazy penetration. 200 millimeters of penetration, but only at 750 meter range. Still a very, very nice unit to supplement your infantry through light cover in particular, where it's going to be able to utilize its range well. Then you have the Pack 40 cards. So there's 2 cards of Pack 40s available, 3, 5, and 8 availability of the Pack 40s. Just a reminder, the APCR, 190 mils of penetration at 1,500 meter range. The AP shell is 145 mils of penetration at 1,750 meter range. Moving on to the anti-air. Now, anti-air here is pretty bad, as you can see. You've got 3 options, and they're all 20 mils. 20 mils are better than they used to be, mind you, but still, it's not ideal. In this case, just the Flak 38 20 mils. Again, they look different because they don't have the shields. And then there is the Breda on the truck as well, which has the AP shells again. Technically can defend itself against light armor and half tracks. And then you've got your standard AA capability. 4, 8 and 12 available for those trucks. For the Flak 38 20mm, it's 6 and 9 availability. I guess the nice thing about these is they are pretty cheap. But let's move on to the artillery tab. So Beobachter are available, your standard 2-man artillery observers. 3 availability in A, 6 in B. No special transports. Then there's the Battleführer, useful for supplementing if you need extra leaders for your infantry. You can do that in the artillery tab, and I think in this case it might be an opportunity because the artillery tab cards are so cheap. So yep, definitely nice one there. Then moving on, we have the mountain guns, the Gebirgs gun here, 3675 Gebg. Comes with the 75mm gun with 4.1 damage. Decent rate of fire. Is a rated trait, so it does get the exceptional stealth. Does have a lot of smoke. So really useful for smoking your forces early on, and is very cheap for doing so. You get 4, 8 and 12 availability of these. 81mm mortars are available. You get 4, 8 and 12 available of them. They have slightly less damage than the Gebg, but of course they do acquire their target just a little bit faster because they're a mortar. They do again get the Raider trait for the exceptional stealth, so that's useful. And then you've got the Geb H. This is the 105. This is actually not a terrible gun because as a 105, like, yeah, I don't like the 105 caliber, but I'm pretty sure the Geb 40 does slightly more damage than normal 105mm guns. And it also, of course, has the radio trait, which is nice. It's got the Raider trait as well, with the exceptional stealth. I mean, technically the exceptional stealth here for these artillery guns could allow you to use them as like direct fire guns as well. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Maybe for like the 45.1 it might be worth it, but not for the 70.1 because you start to get to the point where is it really worth it? Either way, 3, 6 and 12 availability for those, so you can get a lot of availability of these in the late game. And if you were to have 12 of these in the late game with the radio, you can probably kill stuff very quick actually, now I think about it. There is also the SK18 105. The nice thing about the SK18 is it's really good at counter battery because the dispersion at range is really good. Doesn't benefit from the Raider trait. If it did have had the Raider trait for exceptional stealth, you could definitely consider using it as an AT gun. That would be hilarious. Anyway, there is the 120mm mortars. These are 2, 4 and 8 availability. Only having 2 on a card in Phase A makes them a lot less desirable than, say, some of the 120s or like 107s that you can get, which you can get 3 in Phase A. But yeah, again, Raiders technically. SFH 150mm is also a choice. You can get 1, 2 and 4, standard for the SFH 150. It does have the multi-ammunition truck that it can bring in. The Keb can't use that. There is also off-map. This is 170mm off-map. And it has 2 shots, well, 2 uses of 172mm off-map there. So, again, just a reminder, underneath the picture, you can see where it says ×2. That is the number of strikes that you get with an off-map vehicle. Okay, finally we have the aircraft. We have the CR-42 BIS. This thing is just like a fighter / recon aircraft. Its dual breeder is not anywhere near as good as it used to be. But yeah, it's got the decent agility for its speed and is a nice cheap recon plane. Yeah, that's pretty much all it is. That's all there is to say about that. There is the BF-110 G-4B with R3. This thing has two 30 mils in the nose, two 20 mils in the nose, but it also has these gun pods underneath. So another two 20 mils. If you head on with this, any aircraft you attack will die. 100%. Well, I don't know that for sure, but I would assume so. You get 2 in A, 4 in B, and 8 in C for 75 points. These seem like a pretty good choice, and I think they'd probably do quite a lot of damage to support weapons if you were to attack them on the ground. Then we have the BF-109 G6. Unfortunately, these are not that great. But yeah, Italian pilots. You can see they got the unique decals on here. 4, 8, and 12 available of these. The bad thing about these is they are fast, which may not sound like a bad thing, but because their weapons are so limited, they've only got one cannon, means they often overshoot their target. Like they fly past their target before they kill it. So unless you like double these up, you're often not going to shoot down what you're going for in one pass, which means that it often gets away if it's something like a bomber, for example. So bear that in mind. These may look good on paper, but they're not really. And when you compare it to something like this, which is the Feltro, which does have 620 km/h speed, but it has two 20 mils, so you're going to get significantly more damage down. It also has two 12.7 mil machine guns, so yeah, this is actually a really nice aircraft, the C205. 3 available in A, 6 in B, 9 in C. They do get the extra veterancy, which increases their agility, which is nice as well. Then there's the BF-109 G6R1. This has 250 kilogram bombs. You can get 2 in A, 4 in B, and 8 in C. In A, these could be pretty nice for killing off stray support weapons for sure. Then we have the HS-129 B2R2. It has the 30 mil air-to-ground cannon, which can get through up to 95 mils of armor, which is generally good enough to kill most allied armor, aside from things like IS-2s. So yeah, it's a decent ground attack aircraft. 1 in A, 2 in B, 4 in C. Does have the extra veterancy, which increases its agility, which is useful for lining it up on multiple targets in one run. Then there's the HS-129 B2R4. This currently still has Romanian markings. I think this might be one they missed. But yeah, it has cluster munitions. Very nice indeed. You get 3 in A, 4 in B, and 6 in C. Having 3 of these in A is actually kind of deadly for the enemy, because the thing is with the HS-129 is it has very good resilience, so it can tank a lot of hits from anti-air compared to a lot of other air-to-ground attack aircraft. So yeah, cluster's really good, and they will be useful for sure. Then we got the Spiveros. These are interesting bombers. They do have very good resilience, 375 km/h speed for this one. It has 12 100 kilogram bombs, which is an okay payload. 2 available in A, 4 in B, and 7 in C. But it's nice to see another unique bomber in the game, another tri-engine bomber. Yeah, similar to the Alcyon. Then there's the variant with the 2 500 kilogram bombs. You can only get 1 of these in phase A, then it goes to 4 in B and 6 in C. But yeah, having like a bunch of these in the late game might work out quite nicely. They're kind of bad in terms of their armament, like the aircraft here, or the machine guns here. I don't know if they're really going to do too much damage to enemy planes. There doesn't seem to be enough of them. But yeah, anyway. Decent payload. And that's the air tab. Don't think there's anything to point out in the defences. Nope, So let's move on to creating a deck. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting one to mess around with, because there's a ton of good stuff in this deck. You've got good infantry, you've got like nice support, and there's also a lot of cards available there. You've got decent aircraft, decent artillery. It's just how you're going to mess around with these other tabs that is really going to make the difference, I think. So I'm definitely going to bring in the AB-41s in Phase A. They're going to be really useful. Then I'm going to do, I think, Gebirgsjager in Phase A with the Kubel MG truck, or in Jeep. And then we're going to do a Phase B Gebirgsfusilier and Phase C Gebirgsfusilier, because they're going to be really nice for accompanying your infantry in engagements. Then for the infantry tab, there are a lot of cards here. The last ones are quite expensive though. But I think it's going to be a pretty self-explanatory one, because there's not really that many choices in the infantry tab. It's just making sure that you get everything that's good. So I think we'll do Sturm Pioneers in A with the Gebirgs Pioneers in B. And I think I'm going to upvet them as well. In Phase A, I'm also going to bring in these guys with the dual MG42s, and we're also going to bring in a card of standard Gebirgsjager. We'll do B and C, and I'm going to make sure they're all upvetted. So that Phase A is looking fine. The Phase B is looking fine. The Phase C, I kind of wish I could bring in like another close range infantry in Phase B, or Phase C, sorry. Doesn't look like I can. So it might be worth doubling up in Phase B on the close range infantry. One thing I am going to do though is we're going to use the Gebirgsjager in Phase A and B. Or C. I mean, technically we could use one in C. I'm going to do that for now. I might also add another card in C for the time being, although I might remove it. In the tank tab, we're going to do these in Phase A, and then these in the late game. And then for the support tab, definitely bring in the links, of course. I'm going to bring in a card of MG42s. I'm going to bring in these as well. And then I think we'll just leave this for supply, because it gets quite expensive actually, because they're all 2-point cards. I think the pack 40 is not really like necessary for like Phase A, but Phase B, yes, and then maybe we could get away with using Puptions. Anti-air, we're going to do just spam. We're going to go Phase A, B, and then C. Loads of 20 mils. I am going to bring in a card of these in Phase A. The availability on these is actually pretty nice, and the fact they get loads of smoke is really good. I'm going to bring in a Phase B Battlegroupführer. We're going to bring in the off-map in the late game. And then I'm going to do those in the late game as well. I don't know if I want to bring in like another card of Gebirg, of the, you know, the mountain guns here. It's tempting. It's tempting. Let's go into the air tab. I'm going to bring these in Phase A. We're going to definitely use C205s. But I think I can do that in B, and then we can use BF-110's in A. Maybe even bring in the recon aircraft in A. That would be kind of nice. What else? Do phase B HS-129s with the guns. Because we're going to have to basically figure out a way to deal with armor early on. Currently we have the HS-129s. We've got 2 cards of those. Phase C, we do have Stugs, and Phase B, we do have Pak-40s. In Phase C, we got a lot of artillery with radio capability. So I think I'm going to do this for Phase C. We'll make good use out of those bombers. Really tempted to get that recon in. But I think we have to focus on Phase B and C supply for the artillery tab. Does this look okay? I think it's fine. These having multi-ammunition trucks almost makes them more desirable than using like the Geb in Phase C. But the nice thing about the Geb here is it does have 50 shells. Doesn't really run out of ammo very quickly anyway. I think the off-map's going to be important. Like, I kind of feel like the off-map would be better in B. But pushing back with the combination of the Gebirgsjager and the Stugs, plus the off-map, is kind of the way that I see this division winning in the late game. You can win the early game by just pushing with like the Stugs, with the Puptions, and the infantry anyway. The Phase B will be hard. But yeah, if you can hold on, you can continue to sort of bring yourself back in Phase C, which, now I say it out loud, might warrant this being a V for victory as opposed to a balanced deployment type deck. Because there really isn't much in Phase B. Set it to V for victory. Let's change things up a little bit, and we'll leave it there. Alright, there you have it. That is the 5th Gebirgsjager. And the infantry is looking pretty impressive, honestly. That plus some of the support guns is going to make these pretty deadly in sort of town engagements and forested engagements. In open ground, this division will definitely struggle, because it just doesn't really have options to engage armor at longer ranges. It would have to rely pretty heavily on its aircraft. Yes, you could probably use like Pak-40s and stuff, but ultimately you're likely going to rely on ambushing with the Puptions and the Panzerschrecks on the leaders, I think. Keeping veterancy high is going to be really important here as well, so that you can limit the amount of damage that your infantry take in engagements. Yeah. Alright, well, there you go. 5th Gebirgsjager. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that brief overview, or brief preview of the division. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play. Just a reminder that I am going to be streaming the new DLC Thursday, 8 PM GMT UK time on my Twitch channel. And yeah, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more Star Division 2 content, of course. But that is it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.